Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 151 based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin's cunning was far beyond normal people's. He only believed 20% of what the man named Shu said. The main reason he chose to enter was due to the trembling coming from the slaughter energy. To be able to affect the slaughter energy, this place will definitely help me master the celestial slaughter art. Wang Lin didn't turn back and disappeared into the depths of the prison. Some things in this world requires us to make a choice. Some things will be lost, but this is something I must do. Wang Lin followed down the stairs, and after one instant of time, the blood-colored light before him intensified. At the bottom of the stairs, it was a scarlet world. This place was very large, and the thick layer of blood marks on the ground was very shocking. When he looked around, he couldn't see the boundaries of this place. This was probably an independent space, and it was right below Sky Demon City. In this world, there were many pools of blood on the ground. There were many people in each of the pools of blood, and their eyes were closed as they cultivated inside the blood pools. The hideous injuries on their bodies moved in a strange manner. When Wang Lin entered this place, the 5 strands of slaughter energy flew out. They circled around him and seemed to be releasing bursts of excitement. Wang Lin took a deep breath and the bloody smell entered his mouth, causing killing intent to fill his body. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he moved and arrived next to a pool of blood. He hesitated a bit before sitting down in the lotus position inside the pool of blood. At the moment half of his body was immersed in the blood pool. Powerful killing intent entered his body from the blood pool and spread across his body. Every time he breathed, the killing intent inside his body intensified. Every time he cultivated, more killing intent entered his body from the blood pool. Gradually, Wang Lin's eyes became red, and the 5 strands of slaughter energy whistled like they never had before. The killing intent in his heart became stronger and stronger. At first he used celestial spiritual energy to resist it, but after pondering a bit, he gave up on doing that. After sealing his mind, he allowed the killing intent free reign over his body. After an unknown amount of time, everyone inside the blood pools opened their eyes, an unimaginable killing intent burst out from their eyes. The explosion of killing intent immediately surrounded the entire Scarlet World. People charged out into the air from the blood pools, and murderous roars and shouts filled the area. All of those people had bloodshot eyes. Kill! 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 Following the roars, each of the people that flew out immediately began to attack the person near them. Their attacks were filled with killing intent. There were a lot of people in the blood pools. Wang Lin spread out his divine sense and found almost 1,000 people. At this moment, much slaughter took place, and the killing intent here was monstrous. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot. At this moment, he had already locked his mind. His entire body was no longer in his control and was shrouded in killing intent. He suddenly flew out from the blood pool and let out a thunderous roar. He charged toward the people, killing each other like a bloody tornado. A path of slaughter had begun. Wang Lin had lost his consciousness and was completely immersed in killing. Every attack was set to kill, finger of death, demonic finger, and various treasures were all constantly used. Everywhere he passed, people would die to him. Wang Lin's eyes were completely blood red. Right now the only thing on his mind was to kill. Here, if he didn't kill others, he would be killed by others. This place was a battlefield of slaughter. Wang Lin's entire body was stained by blood. He seemed to be tireless as he charged at every enemy he saw. He didn't even hesitate to use spells that would mean mutual destruction. Everyone that was killed didn't really die, they were affected by the formation here and resurrected in the blood pools. The people here could no longer be considered people, they were more like tools for providing slaughter energy. The slaughter energy created by their killing would be absorbed by the sky and disappear without a trace. This slaughter lasted for a long time before it finally ended. These people all had monstrous killing auras, and their eyes were completely bloodshot. There was no longer any reason left in these people. There was a bit over 100 people remaining, including Wang Lin. The slaughter silently ended. These people all had an intense killing aura around them, which manifested as a 3-foot-wide blood mist. They didn't even look at each other as they scattered and each looked for a blood pool. The people that just revived would all immediately disperse, allowing those people to have a blood pool all to themselves. Wang Lin's eyes were blood red as he brought his 3-foot-wide blood mist toward a blood pool. The more than a dozen people inside the pool all got up and quickly left. There was a hint of admiration inside their bloodshot eyes. Wang Lin sat by himself inside the blood pool and closed his eyes. After a long time, he opened his eyes once more. The blood red in his eyes gradually disappeared and was replaced by clarity. I believe that the killing heart mentioned by the man named Shu is the heart of slaughter. Only by having a heart of slaughter can I successfully refine slaughter energy. If I don't have a heart of slaughter, it will be very difficult to refine slaughter energy. Those successes from before could only be considered coincidence. Wang Lin took a deep breath and closed his eyes once more to immerse himself in the blood and began comprehending the heart of slaughter. After a long time, the slaughter started once more in this scarlet world. Everyone flew into the air and the slaughter began once more. This kind of slaughter would happen several times each day. During these slaughters, many people would die, and a few people would have the blood mist around them become stronger and stronger. One day of time quickly passed, and there had been a total of 4 slaughters on this day. Wang Lin lasted until the very end, but the blood mist around him was only several dozen feet wide. Compared to others, it was a lot, but there was one man with black hair who had a blood mist more than 100 feet wide. He floated in the air like a king. After the final slaughter ended, the king-like young man suddenly raised his head and let out a roar. The blood mist around his body suddenly began to churn. Just at this moment, a ray of lightning suddenly flew across the sky. A silver dragon suddenly appeared. It looked coldly at everything below it and then suddenly sucked really hard. This caused the blood mist around everyone to leave their bodies, and it was sucked in by the silver dragon. The king-like young man let out a roar and charged directly at the silver dragon. However, when he only flew up 1,000 feet, the silver dragon turned around. With one gaze from the dragon, the young man's body collapsed. The young man's blood mist was sucked away by the silver dragon, then the silver dragon disappeared. At the moment the silver dragon disappeared, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a sense of clarity. He understood that the silver dragon was probably the demon emperor's sword that the man named Shu talked about. The slaughter energy produced here was probably food for this demon sword. As for the black-haired youth, although he died, he was resurrected in a blood pool. All of the blood mist around him had disappeared, and he would have to climb back up again. After one day of slaughter, this place became quiet. Wang Lin sat in the pool of blood and comprehended the heart of slaughter. Back when I learned the celestial slaughter art, that person said that because I cultivate the life and death aura, I can cultivate this spell. I finally understand now. Strands of killing intent entered Wang Lin's body from the blood pool. However, there are still some vague details. The relationship between the celestial slaughter art and life and death domain, Wang Lin pondered. One night passed, and on the second day, the slaughter began once more. Wang Lin was completely immersed in the slaughter here. He had no idea how much time had passed as the killing intent around him became stronger and stronger. The endless slaughter and endless absorbing of killing intent allowed Wang Lin's body to slowly comprehend the heart of slaughter. When Wang Lin first got here, there would be over 100 people left after each slaughter, but now Wang Lin could easily kill a person with just one finger. His bloodshot gaze swept the area, and there were less than 50 people remaining. The 50 people didn't continue to kill each other but separated and found their own blood pools to cultivate in. After a day of slaughter, the blood mist around Wang Lin had become 50 feet wide. An unknown amount of time passed once more. Another slaughter began. After it ended this time, Wang Lin let out a roar. There were less than 20 people in the sky. The blood mist around Wang Lin was now 70 feet wide, and everyone else's blood mist was also several dozen feet wide. Days passed in this scarlet world. Even though Wang Lin would regain his clarity every now and then, even he didn't know how much time had passed. If it wasn't for the fact that the 5 strands of slaughter energy had changed into life force seals that covered his body, Wang Lin believed he would have already died here many times. With the life force seal around his whole body, Wang Lin was like a powerful tiger that began to separate himself from the rest. On this day, when the last slaughter of the day ended, there were only 2 people left in the sky. One of the 2 people was Wang Lin. The blood mist around his body was now several hundred feet wide. From a distance, he looked like a bloody sundae. Before him was the black-haired young man from before. He had once more climbed up to the top, and the blood mist around him wasn't any weaker than Wang Lin's and in fact was stronger. At this moment, the silver light appeared once more. Its cold gaze fell on Wang Lin and the youth before it sucked. The black-haired youth let out a roar once more as he charged toward the silver dragon. The silver dragon revealed a rare hint of disdain as its giant claws pressed down. At this moment, it felt as if the sky was collapsing. Explosion sounds came from inside the youth as his body shattered into pieces. But right before he died, some of the blood mist entered his body, then his body shattered into pieces. At the same time, the black-haired youth was resurrected inside one of the blood pools. All of the blood mist around him was gone as he silently cultivated in the blood pool and didn't even look at the sky. At this moment, the silver dragon placed its gaze on Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to release the blood mist for the silver dragon to absorb. The silver dragon disappeared and Wang Lin landed. As he looked at where the silver dragon disappeared, his eyes regained their clarity. He slowly walked up to a blood pool, and the several people inside the blood pool quickly got up and left. Wang Lin sat by himself inside the blood pool and his eyes retained their clarity. A smile gradually appeared on his face. The smile became larger and larger until he finally burst out in laughter. His laughter echoed in this scarlet world, but no one paid any attention to him, as they were all focused on absorbing killing intent. Celestial slaughter art, to slaughter a life to create a life seal. This is creating life with death, which is in line with reincarnation. A cycle where death creates life seals. This spell was, in fact, just the life and death of reincarnation. The transformation between life and death. That silver dragon was doing the same thing, absorbing all this death to turn it into vitality. The formation here also had the same principle, so it turned out to be like this. Wang Lin's eyes were bright. He had gained enlightenment. At the moment he gained enlightenment, the 5 strands of slaughter energy that were currently acting as life seals around his body quickly appeared before him. They gathered together before his chest to form a giant, grey vortex. This vortex spun rapidly before his chest before disappearing inside his body. At this moment, his entire person changed, and a never-before-seen killing aura suddenly appeared in this scarlet world. At this moment, every person in this scarlet world opened their eyes and looked at Wang Lin. Slaughter aura. Wang Lin's voice echoed in his scarlet world. As his celestial slaughter art spread out, sounds of explosions came from the blood pools near Wang Lin. The people that had been killed and resurrected an unknown number of times all exploded, and strands of slaughter energy were formed. In almost an instant, almost 100 strands of slaughter energy were formed. They circled around Wang Lin like grey ghosts. This didn't end. With Wang Lin as the center, all of the people inside the blood pools exploded and turned into grey gas. The entire scarlet world began to collapse. A large amount of grey gas condensed into slaughter energy and circled around Wang Lin. None of the people that collapsed resurrected. This time they died for real. At the moment their bodies collapsed, their eyes revealed clarity for the first time in countless years, and inside that clarity there was a hint of relief. The sounds of explosions and the sight of the grey gas filled the scarlet world. The black-haired youth in the blood pool in the distance suddenly raised his head. His eyes were completely bloodshot, and a thin layer of blood mist appeared around his body. He let out a growl as he clenched his teeth and became the only person who didn't collapse to the celestial slaughter art. 3,792 strands of grey gas circled around Wang Lin's body. He stood up inside the blood pool, and at this moment, there was only him and the black-haired man remaining in this scarlet world. A ray of lightning suddenly appeared in the sky, turning into the silver dragon. The silver dragon that just left had returned, and its large eyes stared at Wang Lin with killing intent. This silver dragon stared at Wang Lin before letting out an angry roar. Then its body began to move, and its large claw descended on Wang Lin. When the claw fell from the sky, it was like the heavens itself was falling, and a powerful aura immediately filled the area. Wang Lin raised his head to look at the sky. He had experienced the power of the silver dragon a lot during these past several days. Wang Lin didn't move, but the 3,792 strands of slaughter energy released a powerful killing intent. As this killing intent spread, an aura that could pierce the sky and this world appeared. More than 3,000 slivers of slaughter energy released monstrous killing intent that charged at the silver dragon's claw like a sharp sword. With a bang, the entire scarlet world shook. The silver dragon's claw collapsed under the force of the 3,792 strands of slaughter energy. The silver dragon let out a fierce roar, and its dragon eyes revealed a never-before-seen killing intent. Although it had been injured before in the countless years it has been alive, this was the first time an ant had injured it. Even though the claw wasn't its full power, it was not something mere food could resist. Even demon generals couldn't resist this claw. At this moment, it was really angry. As the sword of the demon emperor, it had absolute dignity, so when it was challenged by mere food, it decided to directly obliterate that food. The silver dragon's body moved, and as it roared, a ray of sword energy appeared in its mouth. The moment the sword energy appeared, the scarlet world seemed like it was about to collapse, and the only thing left was this ray of sword energy. The sword energy shot out directly at Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't hesitate at all as his body moved like lightning, but he didn't charge at the silver dragon. Instead, he turned around and charged toward the entrance. The 3,792 strands of slaughter energy caught up to him and turned into life seals one after another. In the blink of an eye, the 3,792 life force seals imprinted onto Wang Lin's forehead and immediately spread over his body. With more than 3,000 life seals around his body, it was like Wang Lin had gained more than 3,000 layers of extra protection. At this moment, the sword energy from the silver dragon landed on Wang Lin. The life seal around Wang Lin began to flash like crazy, and there was a series of crackling sounds. Wang Lin's body didn't stop at all as he disappeared through the entrance. At the moment it disappeared, the black-haired man inside the Scarlet World struggled to say, "Save me just once." His voice was very soft. The silver dragon was startled, as its Shukil sword energy was forcibly stopped by Wang Lin. For it, this was an extreme insult. The silver dragon's anger rose to a new height. It didn't even bother with the black-haired man as its body moved and disappeared without a trace. At the same time, the sword pavilion in the Imperial Palace was completely empty. There were no decorations here, only a huge blood formation with a serpentine, silver sword inserted at the center. At this moment, the serpentine sword suddenly released bursts of sword hymns. Shortly after, the sword flew directly into the sky and pierced through the roof in a ray of silver light. It carried a sword energy that everyone inside Sky Demon City could feel, and it circled once in the sky before charging directly at Hong City. At this moment, all of the commander-in-chiefs and demon generals noticed this sword energy. They all walked outside and looked into the night sky. Inside the Imperial mansion, a middle-aged man in a white robe looked at the night sky. His eyes lit up and he muttered, "Who provoked the Emperor's sword to leave the formation?" Demon General Shixiao was also in his own manner as he looked up at the sky. Sun Dao's expression was serious as he looked at the silver light in the sky, and he was extremely shocked. The Emperor's sword flew out on its own. There is something strange about this. Shixiao took a deep breath and his eyes revealed a mysterious light. In Universe City, a black-haired man looked up at the sky from inside his courtyard. He only revealed a figure and didn't show his face as he looked at the silver flash in the sky. He whispered, "This is the wrath of the Emperor's sword." "How is the Emperor's sword in the eyes of the two of you?" There were two people behind this person, and they were both carrying large swords behind their backs. Their eyes revealed a mysterious light as they stared at the silver light disappearing into the distance. One of them pondered a bit and slowly said, "It isn't any weaker than Master's sword." "Is that so?" The black-haired man turned around, revealing a very handsome face, and there was also a hint of resolve in that handsome face. He was the #1 demon general, the one who was stationed next to the fire demon country, Mo Fei. However, if one looked closely, this person looks exactly the same as the black-haired youth in Hong Prison. Inside the Mo mansion, Mo Lehai's face was filled with shock as he looked at the silver light in the sky. He could clearly see that it was heading toward Hong Prison, making his heart skip a beat, and he had a bad premonition. The Emperor's sword. It couldn't be going for Wang Lin. Then Mo Lehai shook his head and said to himself, how could Wang Lin cause the Emperor's sword to move with his cultivation? I'm overthinking it. Although he said that, the bad premonition in his heart became stronger and stronger. Inside the royal palace, a person wearing a royal robe looked into the sky and smiled. Could it be that it suffered some injustice? I haven't seen it so angry in a long time. Interesting. Behind the person in the royal robe, an enchanting woman softly said, Emperor, what are you so happy about? Wang Lin's body moved like lightning up the stairs in Hong Prison. He moved very quickly, and as he ran, the blood in his body boiled. Although the force of that sword energy was deflected by the life seals around his body, it still caused the blood in his body to go crazy. When he went down the stairs, he wasn't fast, but now he passed by in a flash. Soon, he arrived at the top of the stairs. The man named Shu was standing there and looking at the sky. He had a strange expression and muttered to himself, this matter has gotten a bit out of control. Wang Lin appeared in a flash. The moment he appeared, the man named Shu jerked around to look at Wang Lin. After letting out a sigh, he quickly whispered, you can't leave from here, follow me. With that, he leaped to the side and quickly flew down another path. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, but soon he felt the unimaginable sword energy flying over at lightning speed. He was very familiar with that sword energy, it was the silver dragon. Feeling his scalp go numb, Wang Lin quickly followed the man named Shu. He quickly hid his presence without revealing a hint of himself. The two of them moved extremely fast and disappeared after navigating through Hong Prison. Shortly after the two of them left, the Emperor's sword arrived and directly broke through the gate. It swept through the prison, looking for the food that made it lose its dignity. At this moment, on the wall of a residence in Hong City, an opening silently appeared. Wang Lin walked out from the gap. The man named Shu didn't come out but let out a sigh and quickly said, don't forget our agreement. With that, the wall closed, and the man named Shu quickly left. As he ran, he muttered to himself, that was not worth it. If I knew he was going to lure the Emperor's sword here, then no matter what, I wouldn't have sent him there. Wang Lin had his presence completely hidden. He didn't use celestial spiritual energy to fly, but walked rapidly on the street. He could hear sounds of destruction from Hong Prison in the distance along with angry sword hymns. Wang Lin moved even faster. This place wasn't far from the Mo mansion. After half an incense stick of time, he arrived at the Mo mansion. Mo Lehai stood in the courtyard while staring at Hong Prison, and he had a feeling of disaster in his heart. At this moment, he immediately saw Wang Lin, and when he noticed how Wang Lin had his presence hidden, he immediately knew what was going on due to how smart he was. He let out a bitter smile as he led Wang Lin to the fake mountain, and with one palm, he created a hole. This is where I cultivate behind closed doors. You should hide here for a bit. Wang Lin's divine sense spread out before he jumped in without a word. Mo Lehai took a deep breath as he sat down and closed the hole. He began cultivating there like nothing was wrong. This was destined to be a sleepless night for Mo Lehai, and this was the same for the residents of Sky Demon City. The entire Sky Demon City was lit up by silver light throughout the night. After the Emperor's sword wasn't able to find the food that injured it, it became even more angry. It decided to wreck Hong Prison before it circled the sky of Sky Demon City as it frantically searched. This made Mo Lehai's job harder. He kept using his demonic spiritual energy cover up Wang Lin's presence so the Emperor's sword couldn't find Wang Lin. The Emperor's sword did notice Mo Lehai, but Mo Lehai had spread out his demonic spiritual energy too much, so the Emperor's sword just swept by. In truth, even if the Emperor's sword looked closely, it still wouldn't be able to find Wang Lin. Wang Lin had completely hidden his aura and entered the heaven-defying bead. He was sitting across from Li Muwen's nascent soul. Throughout the night, the Emperor's sword became even more angry. It spent the entire night searching all of Sky Demon City, but it still couldn't find a trace of that despicable food. Its anger continued to grow. This was another insult to it. Early in the morning, the Emperor's sword was filled with unwillingness as it let out a sword hymn. It then turned toward Hong Prison and sent out a ray of sword energy that created a rift more than 1,000 feet long. After releasing its anger, the Emperor's sword returned to the formation full of anger. Hong Prison was one of the 4 great prisons of Sky Demon City. Although it was damaged by the Emperor's sword, with lot of manpower and materials, it was quickly repaired. However, the Emperor's sword seemed to have its sight on Hong Prison, so whenever it was fixed, the Emperor's sword would appear and destroy it to vent its anger. This video will end here.